What is good? We're back with another live mock Monday on a Tuesday. Obviously, today is Tuesday. Next week, we'll be doing the same thing on a Tuesday because the national championship this week, it was Monday Night Football Playoffs edition.
Yep, Rams Vikings.
But then we'll be back to our regularly scheduled Mondays, trying to keep it up all season. So appreciate you guys joining us. We got a mock already in sesh. Josh Allen first off the board, Lamar Jackson 1-2, Jaden Daniels 1-3, Jamar Chase 1-4, and Jalen Hurts 1-5, 1-6 is on the clock, and you are now up to date. Big Co.
Jamar Chase 1-4. Let's go. I don't hate it at all. Get those quarterback-like type points from a wide receiver, and then hit a quarterback in the second or third round, and/or I'm a fan. We got a mock draft going right now, separate from this, and I took Jamar Chase at maybe 1-6, 1-7, something like that, and I enjoy that build.
Yeah. So how you feeling over there? How's the undercarriage? You all right? Sitting on peas? What you got?
I spent a couple days sitting on peas. There's no doubt about it. But I'm not gonna make any more little peas, so that's huge.
Only big peas around here.
Two's enough, bro. Two's enough. We're done.
Is there like a hymns for peeing better?
Two's enough.
Hit us up, hymns.
Wasn't that bad. It's a little uncomfortable, but we're good. I'm playing through it, you know.
Yeah.
I'm playing through it right now.
I mean, it was like on Thursday.
Took a shot Friday morning. It was
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not going to be able to be here Friday night if that was the situation.
All right. So then we got Jalen Hurts. We got Patrick Mahomes 106. We got Burrow 107. We got Justin Jefferson 108. Brock Bowers 109, baby. 110 on the clock. So a bunch of quarterbacks off the board. Brock Bowers, third non-quarterback off the board. Love to see it. It's exciting.
Well, last week it was 1-2 Brock Bowers, which was a little rich.
1-2 overall.
Right. Yeah, the 1-2 pick and the second pick overall last week. So further down, I don't have a problem being at the end of the first round at all. I really don't. Same thing I was saying about Jamar Chase in tight end premium. If you got a tight end, just caught 100 balls, so that's like 150 catches from a wide receiver. If you get an extra half a point per catch, so if you're giving me the type of production that we may have been able to get out of Travis Kelce for 5 years, I'll take it.
Yeah. And I mean, hopefully, Tom Brady's pulling the strings now apparently over there. So boys will be smooth sailing before they know. Maybe Tom's going to saddle up next year. He's like, that's boost stuff ain't for me. I'm going to go give the Raiders one more go.
Dude, if he came out and played just one more season, that would be the best.
So we got Tom over there. It'll be interesting to see where their GM coach goes.
Obviously. Yeah.
One of the, I would assume because of the franchise desirable, well, because of where they are and what they have, not all that desirable, right? You're void in a couple places. Defense has some pieces. Offense has Brock Bowers.
Sure.
Good start. Jacoby's good.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, like, you got Tom Brady, who brings all of the attention and deservedly so, but now in years past, you have an owner who really doesn't have, is in NFL ownership circle, he doesn't have a lot of money, right? So, I mean, he's got way more money than all of us times 28, but like he's not out there like guaranteeing contract after contract after contract, like some of the owners do who are trying to win when you see teams push it in. But it
Vegas stadium moves probably some good revenue.
I would anticipate. I mean, all the revenue, right? If you're sitting around being Mr. Davis, you got to be like, well, I'm making more money, just the rising tide lifting all boats kind of thing. So,
well, they've got some things to figure out, mainly the quarterback position, because we know if you don't have one of those, you don't have much. When Sam Darnold comes off the board and around that area, we'll jump on Sam Darnold. But Sam Darnold could be an option for potentially the Raiders this year. We're going to have a whole bunch of stopgaps that kind of have to come in because there's not enough quarterbacks to fill in the need that we have right now, right?
Never is.
Sometimes it's a little closer than it feels right now.
True.
But I do think that the top level and the middle is good. We're just, we're struggling on the back end for some franchises here, and there's just not a big quarterback class in this class to help fill that up. So, Daniel Jones and Justin Fields, and I mean, even AOC and Minshew are going to be somewhere. Mason Rudolph might end up finding his way into something. He hasn't played terrible when he's been in there,
Yeah.
right? So
we did just bring in the handful of starters, but we need more.
Right.
This year's class
Jameis
was solid.
Winston stinks as far as wins and losses, but fantasy wise, it's awesome.
Let's go. Let's go.
So somebody might need some quarterback play. Bowers could be one of those guys. We shall see. But was fine with AOC and Minshew and
whoever else took snaps.
Ritter. So
that wasn't the best 2 week stretch.
Yeah. Bowers at 109, Malik Neighbors at 110, Amon-Ra St. Brown at 111, CeeDee Lamb 112, Puka 201, Gibbs 22, Bijan 23, and then Brian Thomas at 24. So all back half, no quarterbacks. So they're going to be searching, which in these mocks recently, as because we've just kind of gotten back into mock season, it is advantageous that third, fourth, fifth round for quarterbacks right now. I can go ahead and grab some studs here in the back ends of these rounds, and then you get that, and we're doing a third round reversal. So then they get, another option. If they want to not take a quarterback again, they can probably get away with it right now, at least. And then soon we'll add 2 more quarterbacks and more rookies. So I'm interested to see once those rookies get in there,
right? We
might even get stretch an extra half round out of where you can get these quarterbacks, which kind of sets up early for a pretty fun draft for me as far as, what you can build early.
Completely agree. I mean, obviously, you got, if you're sitting in the front, you get a chance with Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. Jaden Daniels is so much fun right now, even though I wasn't confident in him before the season, but they've given us the exact opposite. Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts scores points, and then I haven't even talked about Patrick Mahomes. You got that first stretch of quarterbacks and you're set. But the back half of that first round, front half of that second round now is just loaded with wide receivers and a couple of fantastic, running backs, and then Brock Bowers. Those seem like assets just as valuable as those quarterbacks sometimes, So it doesn't feel like, to me, like this year is as much of
the fluctuation with the back half of the quarterbacks, right?
Right.
Herbert,
exactly.
Caleb,
Herbert,
Stroud, now Love, Murray. Now we got Drake and Nix. We're trying to figure out how far they want to go up, right? So when you have that fluctuation of the value of those guys so much, where everybody's not like, they're good players, they're getting pushed down value wise, because there's a group of people who are like, those guys are mid, and it's like, they're not mid. They're pretty fucking good players. It's just, since they're not in the top 6.
Completely agree. I feel like this year it's more than any other year. It feels less like the guy that gets the 1-1 is cheating or ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the third round reversal does a lot to help that out, but like this year, like the CeeDee Lamb Puka at 112-2-1 turned in this mock right here. You got Josh Allen, but I got CeeDee Lamb and Puka. I don't feel like I'm behind.
Yeah, Neighbors, Bijan, right?
Yeah, exactly. Brock Bowers, Brian Thomas. I got those are studs to play with.
Yeah, so now those guys have all but one. Mr. Bean over there, he went with the tight end of McBride, and then those guys all picked up some quarterbacks who are all young quarterbacks with some legs, with a decent floor, and can have big upside games. So let me pick up real quick here where we left off. We were at 204 with Brian Thomas. We've got Caleb Williams at 205. We got Justin Herbert at 206. We got Stroud at 207 and Love at 208. That was that kind of group of quarterbacks that we're shifting around. We're trying to figure it out. And then the guys like Trevor, Dak, Baker, Goff, all going to be further down here. And now you have Penix entering the arena here. Mm-hmm. And, you still have guys like Purdy out there as well. So, it gets kind of nice here for if you did what these guys did in the back half of the selection with kind of how the quarterbacks can potentially play out. Then you have Saquon Barkley making his appearance back into the second round. Nice to see that. Nico at 210, Marv at 211, and then Anthony Richardson at 212. So
much earlier than last week.
Yeah, Richardson's, somewhere between, 2 and 4, it seems like right now. We could spend a little bit of time on Richardson again, kind of talking about what we talked about last week. Then we had the reversal. Goes Kyler Murray, Drake May at 3-2, McBride at 3-3, Nix at 3-4, Breece Hall at 3-5, AJ Brown 3-6, Christian McCaffrey 3-7. That's
too early.
It's high.
I hope he comes back and he's awesome, but that's you.
I think he will. And I think just there, that's
yeah,
not enough value baked in for. Yeah. I think he will.
Too much gamble there.
Drake London 3-8, Purdy 3-9, JSN 310, Gibbs 311, or sorry, Garrett Wilson 311, and Laporta at 312. Then the fourth round has since started. You know, we mentioned Christian McCaffrey there, a Breece Hall value, insane right there for me. I love that people are questioning you just forgot that Breece Hall just has been awesome since he's been a rookie. I don't really understand what's going on there, but sure, I'll take the discount. These are the kind of things that you just eat up. You don't just stop questioning it and go, I'm not going to win this battle with talking to this wall here, but I'm just going to collect this value.
Perfectly said too. Yeah, like this is why we do these exercises, and we do them early enough in the season to get ahead of it, because it won't be long before you hear the drumbeat for like Breece Hall's too cheap. He's a huge buy. Like the Breece Hall right now. I mean, obviously we're just getting started in this thing, but a third round, if you're, having a startup for, anytime soon, that's real, like third round Trey McBride and tight end premium, that's fantastic.
Or just telling you, hey, Breece Hall, end of the second, mid third, go send some offers for Breece Hall.
Exactly.
Because people like in startups, and maybe it's just, and sometimes startup value and constructed existing league value can be different. We know that. True. Right?
Yeah. Oh, it had. Yeah, definitely.
But this is how you right now, what you're doing is you're just trying to find little edges in value. And if Breece Hall is going to net, if somebody will give you Breece Hall for your first round pick this year, outside of maybe Genty, I'm down.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Just this time last year, Breece Hall and Bijan were neck and neck, and it was coin flip one way or the other. Mm-hmm. And obviously, it played out the way it plays out, and you get a round discount on Breece Hall, and made it through the season. It's not like he got hurt. A lot of things didn't go right for the Jets. What they win 5 games? That was, nobody saw that coming, really. Yeah. If you'd have told me before the season started that Aaron Rodgers was going to play every game and they were only going to win 5, and they were bringing in Devontae Adams, that those things just didn't compute. So we'll take and so it's not like Breece Hall's coming in here needing to rehab or anything like that. He's resetting like the entire franchise is right now, trying to figure out what's going on. And I think that's solid value, and I like the way you pointed that out.
Yeah, so we talked about McCaffrey being up there. JSN's one of those guys that we smashed on and harped on for a while, and here we are at 310. They're now another switch in offense there for them, kind of 2 years in a row. I wish they would have gave Ryan Grubb one more go round. Hopefully somebody picks him up, puts him on a team. The Falcons right now should be beating down Grubb's door to get him on that staff, and put him with Penix again. I want the 49ers to pick him up and just put it. He can go on there, be the QB, just get him on the staff. They wanted more balance, apparently, from what I hear from Big D, who's a Seattle guy. Like, you give him 1 year.
Was that like the most?
Y'all boys must have just not been.
Was that the most left field firing? So
I mean, Big D had kind of in Seattle. They were kind of talking about it, I guess. But
like you said, basically, there's no chance that he and the head coach were getting along.
Right. So there's one concern moving forward for potentially JSN, and talks of maybe they need to do something different besides Geno, because if this goes to more of a balanced offense, like forever, that was the bugaboo of the Seahawks. I mean, obviously Lockett and DK were good, but like, it doesn't give you that crazy, if DK's there, it doesn't give you the crazy volume upside that you were getting this year. And now I will say there were plenty of games where I'm like, damn, they've completely, got away from the run here.
Yeah.
But they would get down here and there, and then they'd play really good defense for stretches, and then they'd be able to kind of be a little balanced. But, first year guy, look, the Falcons do not pick up Ryan Grubb. I don't know what you're doing.
Sure.
Pick him up.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Wilson, good value. Laporta, good value. And then JT at 4-1. He's right now is one of my favorite running backs to be drafting. If you look at the back half of JT's year there.
Yeah, that game log gets real nice.
It's, he has a nice chunk to start the season for the most part. And then, an injury comes back, and then has a couple of dicey weeks where people got a little questionable. Then 13, he puts down 17. Let's see here. 17.3. And then
nothing in 14.
Yeah, nothing in week 14 on the bye.
What a terrible week for a bye.
Terrible week.
Puts up 9.1, but then the last 3 weeks have been were ridiculous. 39, 25, and it doesn't and 25, it looks like.
No, hot fantasy fire.
Yeah. So JT finished strong. Now the Colts, retaining everybody, and apparently there was a decent amount of locker room issues over there. So hopefully they can kind of get that straightened out a little bit. hopefully everybody kind of wakes up a little bit. I don't think they're terribly, if they would be more disciplined and if everything was going well in that locker room, and they're a unit, I think that's probably good for 2 more wins on the season, right?
Yeah.
And they were right there in some games that they lost. So there is a little bit of plus that O-line was banged up for large chunks of the season, so they can get right. They have some good offensive line pieces. JT still young, still a stud.
Yeah, there was stretches where the O-line was in absolute shambles, but I felt like confident in the locker room. I felt confident in the coach, and for some reason there was a lot of looked like they were.
I don't know. He might be coordinator face.
Yeah, maybe, but they were against the ropes.
He can run the locker room. Yeah,
they were against the ropes, taking haymakers.
Any hesitation in Brock Purdy right now?
I mean,
injury perspective.
No. If Shanahan came out and said he's all locked and good loaded.
How many times does guys come out and go, "Hey, he's great," and then all of a sudden you're like, August, remember that UCL injury that was from a couple of years ago, and then his arm was on fire the last game of the season or the second to last game of the season?
Yeah, I mean,
still ain't right.
If
I have no insight.
I was about to say,
don't know.
If the biggest 49er fan I know is sitting right here 2 feet away from me,
him, then
yeah,
he's got to be fine. Right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If for some reason there's waffling on this contract in the offseason, then we'll be reading the tea leaves.
Yeah,
early and often too, because we got a lot of Purdy around here.
Whew. All right. So JT, Achane, Lad McConkey, love it. Love to see it there. Kyron Williams just continues to be good. Jalen Waddle, 4.5. 405 for Jalen Waddle there. Tyreek Hill, 406. Rashee Rice, 407. That's great value for Rashee. He's also really far down the list, so you do have to dig him out.
Mm-hmm.
Be interesting, as we're going through this, there are certain guys that you have to dig out that don't stick out right away. Like, I don't think Chase Brown's been drafted, and he's down there. Tyrone Tracy's of the world are down there. Rashee Rice is down there. Like I said, Till's way down there.
Cedric Tillman,
yeah,
those scoring at home.
Then Devonta Smith, Bryce Young, 409 ahead of T-Law, 410.
4th round Bryce Young.
T. Higgins, 411. Bucky Irving, 412. Tua, Baker, and McCarthy start off the 5th round.
Cool. That was a play on last night's game right there.
We're gonna have to come. We'll be right back.
That's a teaser.
Yeah. Roma Dunze, 504. Michael Penix, 5'5. Jacobs, 5'6. Olave, 5'7. Flowers, 5'8. Dak Prescott, 5'9. Jared Goff, 5'10. 5'11. Dalton Kincaid, and then DK Metcalf at 5'12. So there's that Goff Prescott 5'9, 5'10. Fucking pumped.
Yeah, Goff's got no business being in the 5th round in the Superflex startup.
What it allowed Dan to do here is he just got Nico, JSN, Ladd, and then another, and
on top of
Jaden Daniels,
yeah,
and then grabbed Goff.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a nice start. I feel pretty cozy with that.
You should.
All right, Bryce Young over Trevor. What you think?
I mean, I understand it. I do. We haven't seen. Trevor gets hurt and he goes out, and then Bryce Young has the best 3 games of his career. Jaguars got to figure out a coach. Looked like Panthers really came on strong together as a team. I understand it. It's still tough for me to click that button, but he was playing in these games. Still felt like undermanned offensive power. Didn't feel like he had enough firepower, and he was playing against teams that were trying to win.
Mm-hmm.
And he was making it look good. And so many times I saw him step up in the pocket and hit somebody across the middle, and just things that we needed, Sam Darnold be doing last night. And just he was doing it over and over and over again and for a month. And obviously we've seen stretches and stuff from quarterbacks and they disappear again. But from what, like I said last week, from the way Bryce Young was completely dead dynasty value last year through week 2, and he's back in the 4th, 5th round. It's wild.
Yeah,
good for him.
Yeah, no, Bryce is very, very intriguing right now because again, I feel like it's absolutely necessary to have the correct coaching and
Definitely.
Offensive scheme kind of stuff in place for players to really, really thrive. We all like Canales. We've been big Canales proponents. Let's say Trevor goes and gets let's say Ben Johnson goes to the Jags.
Now you're talking.
How much
Oh my God.
more juice you get for Trevor? Because, and I think we pointed this out in the last game or last week, but like, yeah, Trevor started a little slow, but I mean, week 4 on 14.7, which, hey, that's not the best, but like I'll live with it. Right.
Yeah.
But then 22, 18, 15, 24, 21, and then hurt. Like,
that's a stretch.
Right. That's all I want Trevor to be doing. If Trevor does that, I'm cool. Like,
and he's doing that with Christian Kirk's hurt at that point. Brian Thomas is a rookie trying to get
The
going.
best wide receiver in the entire league.
So I mean,
Evan
Ingram probably wasn't hurt then yet.
Out and in.
So that and that ETN was down and out. Bigsby broke a couple plays here and there, but most of those were long runs.
I just say that because I know people hate Trevor because mostly it's just the stigma of what Trevor was, and he's not as good as they thought he was.
Sure.
Which is, it's not always going to work out that way, but he's still fine. Like, it's still a good player, which is why I'm still excited to get him in that 4th round there.
Well, is there anything to this? He doesn't work out or want to go to the gym or really practice or try hard. Is there anything to that, Jay, Clemson Tiger guy?
No, I don't think it's a work ethic problem. I think he's dumb up.
No, I don't think so. It seems like football is not just like his everything.
Yeah.
Which I don't think it's a work ethic problem. I think he goes to work. He does the work.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not like
dumb up. He'll just drop. He'll literally let go of the ball sometimes, like in the red zone, untouched. He makes poor decisions at the worst time sometimes. I think he's dumb.
Yeah, to me, it's just that you're not getting the extra preparation because it's not like your end all be all.
Right. And that's it. The reason I asked that is because if that's the case,
which I don't know the guy. Who knows?
Obviously, we don't. None of us know.
Go Tigers.
And
I'm
not trying to call him dumb by any means.
Sure. But if they're like you said, if football's not his everything, like right.
But he's still very, very good with that.
I remember casting Jared Goff out
as a dumb person.
Because he didn't know which way the sun came up, and to me,
well, that was just dumb on both of your parts.
Well,
I don't know why everybody got so fascinated with that. Like,
well, if you don't know that the sun rises in the east, I feel like that was a materials, like that was a problem. That was that was a serious problem. But obviously he, football says everything, and he got over that. Worked his way through that. I would have to probably find places to put T-Law behind this quarterback or T-Law behind that quarterback if football's not going to be his everything. And there's probably a couple quarterbacks here that we don't even know that's the case.
Well, sure.
But there's quarterbacks that we do know that's the case, and that's where they are, And,
I mean, I think T-Law can be every bit of a productive quarterback, of a second round startup quarterback with the right pieces and coaches around him to run a decent offense. Like, will he still make mistakes? Is he going to be excellent? Probably not. But I think he's good. So that's kind of my thoughts on T-Law. And if you get Ben Johnson there, he's signed up. I would assume that Ben Johnson's going there because he sees things in T-Law that he can work with. Like, he's not just going to be like,
I don't think Ben Johnson's taking that job.
Right. If he thinks T-Law's done,
and he doesn't have it currently, but if he takes it, I completely agree with that.
Right. Which I don't know why he would, but hey, it seems to keep kind of coming up that he does like that one. And then Bulky would be out of there. So anyway, let's go, Baker or T-Law.
Oh my word. I mean,
Baker or Bryce?
Baker.
I think I'm taking Baker over both of those guys.
Got to.
It's like I said.
He's 29, so he's a little older than both of those guys. T-Law
would know.
25, I think.
I agree. I think I got to take Baker. It's crazy. It's crazy the world we live in.
Right, and that's just it's the same guy we cast aside a long time ago as well.
We got that one right. That was 4 years ago. But the thing that we really got, got
but all
wrong.
I'm saying is he's good, and people are just ready to throw guys like Trevor who have played way better than Baker consistently.
Yeah. The part of the Baker Mayfield equation here that I got completely wrong, and it was kind of right before he even took the first snap for the Bucs as a quarterback, was okay. Mike Evans is 29 and 30 now. He's got to fall off of that cliff, right? And he's still one of the top 5 best wide receivers in the league. And what is he, 31 now? And he just got his 11th consecutive.
He was
He's
great in that playoff game.
fantastic. So as long as, I mean, if Mike Evans has another year in him, then I don't see, and McMillan's right there. Godwin's coming back. They got, Bucky can
I
catch.
don't know why Evans wouldn't
Otton's
have another
solid.
year in him.
Who?
I don't know why Mike Evans wouldn't have another year in him.
Why
you
not?
know?
Why not? Exactly. Well, I mean,
So-
he can have two. He's just so big. How in the world is he still going at that size? 6'5", 230. I mean, what is going on around here? And he's still, you can't cover the
11
guy.
straight 1,000-yard
You
seasons?
certainly can't get him to drop the ball in the end zone. No. So good for Baker.
All right. So JJ McCarthy at 5'3". If this is the case, I'm trading all my JJ McCarthys for Michael Penix right now.
Why wouldn't you? You haven't seen anything out of JJ yet, and I've said it last week. What you've seen out of Penix in 3-week sample is just way more than you could have asked for as a 3. And you throw a guy into his first game was a road start, must win for the playoffs, right? He came. It wasn't even like he came in after a bye week and they were playing a terrible team. Like they throw him in, he's on the road, and then the next week he plays 3 games and they're all like you must win games for the playoffs, and just he performed. And the whole like
the Giants, or was that the second game?
I don't think it was New York the first game, but I think they were at home against the Giants. But and then the whole like narrative, like, oh, well, teams never switched over from a right-hander to a left-hander in the middle of the season, yada yada. I mean, just
Giants at home, Washington on the road, Carolina at home.
Okay, so the second start was at Washington, a big game. I was thinking it was on the road at first start, but the second start of his career was on the road against a really, really good Washington
Playoff team.
Yeah,
just beat the Bucks.
And it just was right there battling to try to win the NFC South. And I think JJ McCarthy, if he's KOC's guy, they had drafted him high for a reason. All those pass catchers that I liked last week that Sam Darnold was throwing to, you got to like the situation for Sam. I mean, for JJ McCarthy. But you've seen Penix already come out and make 3rd and long throws. There's quarterbacks that never make that throw in their career.
Yeah.
And they don't last long. You saw Penix do it, and JJ could come out there and do it too, but we haven't seen it yet. And obviously Justin Jefferson is Justin Jefferson, but the Falcons have almost just as much firepower as the Vikings do.
Similar.
Drake London is not Justin Jefferson, but they got players, and they got Bijan, and the Vikings don't have a running back like that.
And if they can figure out a way to finesse some of this, maybe they eat dead cap this year or whatever, but then next year they would still have a quarterback on a rookie deal, so they'd be able to be flexible.
Yeah,
I mean, Mooney was really good this year. I wouldn't, Mooney, Addison,
sure. Yeah,
we think Pitts is
not Hawkinson right now,
good,
but he's got potential.
But Bijan is 3 times whatever else they got.
Sure.
So anyway, Penix. If I could trade Penix for McCarthy right now, I would love to do that. Really, if I could trade McCarthy for Mayfield, because if he was that close, I would do that.
You should be. I would imagine just name equity and what's going. After last night, I think you'd maybe give that another week or two to build some steam. I feel like I think you should be able to get some plus if you're giving away McCarthy to get Mayfield. Just because of the steam that's going to happen around the Vikings, and the McCarthy, wait till he gets in here, how good he's going to be. Can we do the Sam Darnold thing, or we need to wait?
Well, we don't. I mean, I was trying to wait.
Okay, we're way behind on the picks. Okay, we're behind on the pick. Go ahead.
You can talk about it, I guess. Let me pick up in the 6th round here. We'll at least get to round 7.
Sure.
We got ET in the 6th, 6'1", Cook 6'2", Kenny Walker 6'3", DJ Moore 6'4", Chase Brown 6'5", Kirk D. Cousins 6'6".
That feels early for Kirk.
That's just real early for Kirk. But again, you don't think the Steelers would be stoked to have Kirk Cousins?
Sure, they would.
Yeah. And I don't think Kirk's dead in the water. I think he just had an Achilles injury and ran out of steam there at the end of the season. I mean, think about when Aaron Rodgers had his and when Kirk had his, and it felt like Aaron Rodgers was getting better at the end of the year, getting healthier, and it felt like Kirk was just kind of out of gas.
Yeah.
As far as the Achilles stuff for Aaron, anyway. But that does feel early. But they'll probably have some trade value for Kirk Cousins, right? They might have to eat some contract or eat some of this, but like somebody's going to want to give you, even if it's like a 5th round pick for Kirk Cousins, right?
Yeah, for sure. If obviously the trades in the NFL don't work nearly like I would
Sure.
if I was up there, I'll be making some moves. But I mean, you could get into the draft.
You can always it's always half of what you think it is in the
for
actual
some reason.
NFL, right?
They're definitely going to be able to get something from Kirk
they may even like swap a pick in the opposite direction to just eat some salary, right?
Well, if the other team is going to pay it, but I think what's going to I think you started to say it. I think what's going to happen is Kirk's making what, $40 million. I think the Falcons might be paying 30 of it.
Yeah,
and somebody might be paying 10, but the Falcons got the decent end of it. They got some decent value in a trade, or they got that 4th round draft pick where they wanted to draft this guy or whatever and made them happy.
Yeah. So Brandon Ayuk at 6'7", I like that. Hawk 6'8", Sharbs 6'9". That's
early.
Hot.
It's hot.
That is real hot. Addison at 6'10", Pickens at 6'11", Tank Dell at 6'12", Pitts 7'1", Jameson Williams 7'2", Xavier Worthy 7'3". Interested to see kind of what Worthy's ADP is. That feels like maybe a hair late. I'll finish this round. We'll go back to that real quick. Judy 7'4", Pittman 7'5", Chuba Hubbard 7'6", Travis Kelce 7'7", Terry McLaurin 7'8", George Kittle 7'9", Mark Andrews 7'10", Evans 7'11", Pacheco 7'12", and Derrick Henry leading off the 8th round with 801 there.
Well, you said that we were about to have ADP after this one, I think, or at least in the next couple of days we'll have ADP. So that because you got Jerry Jeudy here in the 7th. I think he was in the 9th round last time, so that's why the ADP will give you a really much better roadmap than just zeroing in on one of these drafts. One of these, just doing this exercise is a lot of fun because we get to nitpick and cherry pick as we go about what we want to talk about and all that fun stuff. But when you get the list of the average, that kind of dials it in a little bit more. And then obviously if somebody's ADP is in the 6th round, they could easily go in the 5th. That's not set in stone, but it gives you a little bit better roadmap to find those values that you want to try to use for trades or what have you.
Yeah. Pick it up in the 8th round here. Jaden Reed, Tracy, Ricky Pearsall, Rashad White. Oh, sorry. Mixon, Rashad White, Geno Smith, Chris Godwin, Jonathan Brooks, 8'9". This might be the earliest I've seen him go. Kamara, 8'10", Tucker Kraft, 8'11", Debo Samuel, 8'12". So we are moving through this 9th round right now. No Sam. Now you do have to go pluck Sam out from the depths.
Yeah, but he would be plucked a lot earlier than this if he played well last night.
Yeah, so McCarthy probably a little early, and I think probably Sam Darnold a little late here because regardless of whatever you think of Sam, there's going to be a market for Sam Darnold coming up, right? I mean, regardless of what the Vikings do, which for me personally, it's Vikings should keep Sam Darnold because if the other option doesn't go well, but you were just 14-2. I know the last 2 games that you saw weren't good, but like at some point, like you have to be like, well, he did all this for us. If we could pay him another chunk of money to be here for another year, just to make sure we know what we have in JJ McCarthy.
Right. Well,
let's do that.
That's exactly why. That's after last night and the 2 weeks in a row, the Lions beat them up. Lions beat the whole team up, and the Rams manhandled the Vikings last night. They really did. And what is the stat was Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford is 18-3 in December, January, and February. Obviously, the Super Bowl's in February. So December, January, February, Matt Stafford is 18-3 as a Rams quarterback. Mm-hmm. The completely opposite of everything that was going on in Detroit. You get him with a good coach and a good scheme and some good players around him, and he's hard to beat in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and late in the season. So, like you said, after last night, after the Vikings get beat up by the Rams, in my eyes, I'm like, what? That just for me was like, all right, well, don't go trading JJ McCarthy then. If you're because the rumors have been in the last 2 weeks before the really, the couple stumbles for the Vikings here. It was like, well, maybe they can get the monster stud from the Browns defensive line. What's his name? The
Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett. Like what? JJ and what for Myles Garrett? Now that's a completely different story of trading away your young quarterback. If you can bring Myles Garrett in and you're running Sam Darnold, then you're, like you said, the 14-2 Vikings were in much different, conversation than the 14-2, and we got bounced in the playoff. The 14-3 beat up by the Lions. But what could happen if they bring back Sam Darnold is his dynasty stock is going to continue to go down anyway because they got JJ McCarthy, and he could put up massive numbers again next year with JJ on the bench. And either way, if they move him, he's obviously going to be a starter somewhere for all the reasons you laid out before. JJ McCarthy, I mean, Sam Darnold is definitely going to be a starter. Now, is he a starter throwing to Justin Jefferson and Kevin O'Connell and playing in that dome? No, but he's still going to be a starter, and he's still going to put up fantasy points. I mean, and if in my eyes, I still think they should bring it. It just got cheaper. I still think they should pay him franchise tag him. We got nothing to lose on a franchise tag.
I mean, he's 41 or 41.5 million. What you lose.
Obviously, your salary cap is, but I mean, if you're not paying JJ McCarthy anything because he's on the rookie deal. So that then now you have two quarterbacks, and JJ could come out and be a monster stud, and now you can still trade Sam Darnold. Maybe he gets traded before week 1 if JJ takes him over. But as far as the Dynasty Fantasy Football part of it goes, Sam Darnold's value is sinking. And it's a great chance to buy a second or a third quarterback for your team.
Yeah. The other option is maybe bringing Daniel Jones back and go and letting him play for a little while for 10 million or something cheap that Sam just played on. And you do the same thing with him as you did with Sam, and you go with McCarthy, right? I think you go with Sam because you know what you have there.
Agree. Well, the thing is, like you said, they won 14 games.
Right.
So, like, if they would have won 10 games, maybe you say, okay, well,
even if you won 10 games.
I know, but I was like,
I don't know who came in here and thought the Vikings were just going to be a powerhouse.
Nobody.
Fucking nobody.
That's the point. Like, if they won,
it's a bunch of ungrateful dickheads is what it is.
100%. If they won 10 games and they said, okay, Sam, and the game, it ended like it ended. They won 10 games. Sam, you're walking. We got Daniel Jones. I would understand that a lot more. Dude, you got beat up in the last game, but you won 14 and you had to go on the road.
Let's also not.
That's always a home playoff game.
Yeah.
There's never been a 14 winning, a team that won 14 games that had to go on the road for the playoffs.
Yeah. And I don't care where you would have played that. The Rams were beating them yesterday. Like the Rams
most likely. Yeah.
The Rams defense was on fire.
Yes.
The Rams, Stafford was awesome to start that game and for much of the game, and just a veteran through and through. Like Sam Darnold's a veteran, but really has extended play time in a decent situation. That's sort of like a rookie year he just had. Like, I know he's a lot older and I know he's played football before, but like really like being the guy and starting and having the team behind you and confidence in winning.
That's a really good point.
It's just that doesn't, whereas Matthew Stafford's been all over the map here. And obviously now he's been in Detroit and won a Super Bowl, but
Matthew Stafford is 5 years away from the Hall of Fame as soon as he calls.
That's what I'm saying. But like, there's been plenty of times where Matthew Stafford in the back half of the season probably wasn't all that great, and it's like people were just Stafford sucks.
Well, that's why I quoted the stat.
I don't think Sam Darnold's dynasty value really takes a hit if he plays for the Vikings next year, because everyone else is going to be like, well, it might not go. I don't think it's going down.
I do, and that's I'm looking.
If he plays well for the Vikings, then and he's not the long-term situation for the Vikings, he's going to go somewhere else and still be a starting quarterback.
I'm just saying I think it goes down starting 2 weeks ago, really, but it's before week 1, it's still going down. It's going to be a great buying opportunity especially if you're still in the Vikings, because
when he signs a contract, I feel like it stops going down, regardless of where it is.
Well, still, depending on what the contract is, especially after the last 2 games, I don't feel like unless the Vikings
got cheaper for the Vikings, so the Vikings could do like a 2-year.
But I think the chances of JJ
mil.
McCarthy getting traded now is like slim to none.
Oh yeah, that should have never been an option for them. Like,
I didn't last week. I said that why would you trade him? But it also, why would you trade him? But if Myles Garrett's walking through the door, I can get on board.
Yeah, maybe your defense isn't an issue. Like obviously you want Myles Garrett, but like we don't.
Yeah, you always want Myles Garrett.
Sure, but we're all right. Like we got like the defense was great this year.
Yeah.
Well, so they lost some pieces on the offensive line. Let's just not pretend that this was all Sam Darnold's fault. Was he excellent last night? No, not by any means. You can see the confidence got rattled, but like right to start that game, they were firing blitzes off from everywhere. They were fast. They were in his back hip. They didn't let him get going. And over the last week, everybody was kind of saying, "Hey, Brian Flores has laid out the plan to beat KOC right here." They played all their guys one-on-one with like a league leading 14-0 blitzes or something the week before against in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Or not, who's Aaron Glenn.
Aaron Glenn. Yeah, laid it out. Yeah,
laid it out with just, hey, we're going one-on-one because everything's long. Everything takes a minute to develop with all these players, and they can't dink it. They didn't have any short stuff, and they didn't switch to that. They didn't change the game plan. They didn't try to go to all that kind of stuff fast enough or enough. And it looked kind of like the same thing that was going on in this game. And there was a few spots where Minnesota probably could have even climbed back in this game if he would have hit a throw to Naylor or doesn't,
But at that point,
first of all, they should have definitely not gone forward on fourth down at the end of the half there.
Yeah.
Punt the ball.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It was desperation mode for something like, well, all right, it was going to half, settle down. Just let their defense, your defense has been playing pretty decent for what Matthew Stafford's been putting out on the field here.
Yeah. And that was all year long. The Vikings were living on the long pass.
Yeah.
And the big, slow developing plays, like you said. So, when the Lions put it out there on tape, this is how you make them look bad. That's a really good point. The Rams picked it up and ran with it, and they had the players to do it. They had the young, athletic, get off the ball guys in Jared Verse and his teammate from college that were just wrecking house last night.
Fantastic.
Good for the Rams.
And good defensive coordinator who got better all season. His first time calling plays. He's been on that staff for 8 years. They lose their guy and great game call and plan from him.
Great. And this is what the Rams needed for McVay and Stafford to come back for another year.
Yeah.
Outside of winning the championship, because he might ride off in the sunset.
Fantastic. All right. Let's jump around here. We don't have to pick every single player. Some interesting picks here where I've been struggling is, where do we take Brooks? Where do we take Benson? Once we get into this 10th round area and you're looking around and it's Tajay Spears, Jalen Warren, Najee. I mean, Ramondre usually goes a little higher than 10, but he's hanging around. James Conner, and then it's older wide receivers at McMillan's at 9, Downs at 9. I like both of those guys a good bit in the 9th round.
Yeah,
those are nice picks. But
those are great picks in the 9th round.
Yeah. What do you see in here in the 9th, 10th, 11th round, kind of right now at the moment?
Well, I like the Downs pick, and then 10th round, 9th, 10th. I'm looking at Keon Coleman, and I'm really not. And I think in a couple of weeks we'll be looking at maybe a couple months we get past the draft. We'll be looking at some of those rookie running backs in this area. I mean, not that Trey Benson isn't a screaming value in the 10th round. He's a high ankle sprain away from James Conner to coming in and being a potential league winner.
Right.
I think that's Benson there has fallen, 3, 4, 5 rounds for being nothing other than a rookie backing up James Conner.
It was about a 7th round pick, because I talked a lot about I like the 7th round Benson, and it was Brooks was hanging around in the late 6th for a while there, and then he kind of moved up to the 5th round later. But so he's down 2-3 rounds. But I mean, he got hurt at the end of the season, or we would have saw some more Benson probably. Because Connor got a little banged up through the end of the season. So Connor's been banged up here and there. Connor's been great. They re-signed him, but allowing 100%. You some good value if Benson's hanging around in the 9th, 10th round. I don't mind Trey Benson.
To me, I'm just kind of looking for some of those higher.
I'd rather have Downs or McMillan for sure.
I'm looking for the higher value, younger wide receivers that have the spike potential. Obviously much later in the draft, but this time last year, or not this time. Later in the offseason last year, when we did the startup that we made a video of, we did the Jalen McMillan as instead of taking an old running back, let's take this rookie wide receiver that could hit. And he hit, and he put a good dynasty value, equity piece on our team. I don't think you're going wrong at all taking Josh Downs in the 10th round. I would much rather take the Downses and the McMillans and stuff in that area, and the Keon Colemans and those younger wide receivers. You get another round in. Cedric Tillman's is great. These young wide receivers that showed flash and showed the makeup of a dynasty asset, and that's just in those rounds. I'm just always going to play it that way. And when the time is right, if you take Bigsby's of the world, the Bensons of the world, obviously.
Well, right now that's once you're into 11, 12, you're starting to look at those kind of guys, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's going to change.
This is just the part of the draft where I'm staying away from some of those other dart throw running backs. I would have probably been, like the Alvin Kamaras are probably going to get overdrafted because the way they played this year. What is that? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alvin Kamara in the 8th round. I don't think that's overdrafted. I think that's pretty, that's solid value for Kamara there.
8,
that's
10.
not bad. Stuff like that. In this draft, Rachaad White goes in the 8th round, the middle.
Yeah,
of the
what are you
8th.
Doing with Rachaad White?
I'm watching him fall for a little bit. I know he can play ball. I mean, we're in one. That's what I was talking about, the ADP part of it, because this actual draft is this one mock, and the other one we're doing right now, he's still on the board in the 10th.
Right. Well, that's what kind of spurred this question, is because when I get into the 8th to like this 12th, it's all jumbled up all over the place, and people are trying to sort some things out. The ADP is not right on Sleeper, so things are a little wonky for some people because they're not pulling things out. So,
and this time of the year, if you can find yourself into a startup this time of the year, and it, for more than $25 where it actually matters a little bit, you can crush value right now.
Yeah.
Because the ADP is wonky and it's going to take a while for it to catch up, and people don't. I mean, obviously, you're not going to get in a draft, and somebody's going to wait until a draft for money, and Chase Brown's not going to be on the board in the 8th round. That's not going to happen. But
yeah,
it's still, there's a lot of things, if you're really into it, that you can take advantage of some stuff right now.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Cedric Tillman at 12-11, he's way down in the ADP, and if I'd take him round 8-9 without much hesitation. I think he should be up there with the Downs and the McMillans of the world for me. Bunch of tight ends here late. I kind of like the way the tight end landscape is shaping up, because you get in a pretty big dead zone with tight ends, after the first 2 or 3 go off the board, where you're in a weird spot to draft them. Kincaid, still okay. Hawkinson and Kincaid are still like, yeah, I'll draft them. And then Kittle's good, but 30. And then Andrews is still good and a little bit younger. And then it's Kelsey and Pitts, and like Tucker Kraft in the 8th could be awesome, but could be So, and then you get Joku's, Ferguson's, Freiermuth, Goddard's, and then some shots to Jonnu's, the JT Sanders, Sinnett's, Likely's of the world.
What round?
Ingram.
What round is that?
11.
Joku got taken in.
Cade Otton 10-11. That's a super late Joku, 11th round Joku.
Yeah, that's really, really good. I don't think he makes it that. I think
I would definitely have.
And Joku's like if you don't get one of the top guys that you like, and Joku is like the safety net stopgap, just taking Joku because they're throwing him the ball. They paid him. He's getting targets, and he can do work with it. So, and he's a red zone threat. And Joku in my mind is like the best tight end value right now, just because he's just as good as Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah.
And so he's just always cheaper. And then I'm filling in. I want Cade Otton on my team. I want Isaiah Likely on my team. I want Jonnu Smith on my team, because for some reason Jonnu Smith's way down there. I want Evan Ingram. I'll take, especially in premium, I'll take 3 of those guys after. Even if I have Bowers, I'm taking 2 or 3 of those guys at the end of a draft.
Yeah, especially once you get into no man's lane where it is right now. That's a spot where I'll collect tight ends, 10, 11, 12.
That's what you need to be doing.
Collect them boys up. Before we get out of here, we've completed the draft here. I'm not going to read through every single name. When the rookies do come in here, I know early where people are already dogging the class of like, it's this class stinks. It's void of this, it's void of that. But
clickbait, bro.
You can get through 12 players of really, really good players right now. And then there's still a couple of running backs left, some tight ends, and a couple wide receivers I'm sure will pop up that people get excited about. So, that's going to really start affecting, rounds 2 through 6 here relatively soon. And then when you get into the no man's land, that'll be the time that you collect those like 2nd and 3rd round rookies.
Yeah.
When you don't want to draft any of the older guys, or you're like, what do I do here? Just take the lottery spin on one of these younger guys. So it'll move some of these, 2, 3, 4 rounds, like the Genties of the world are going to be in the 2nd round, right?
Into the 1st, maybe even,
depending on how much love Caleb Johnson and Amarion Hampton get. Those guys are going to be in the 3rd, 4th round. Ted McMillan, Luther Burden, Trey Harris, Cam Ward, Egbuka, Tyler Warren. There's 3, 4 tight ends that people love. Fannin from Junior, from Bowling Green.
Fannin.
LSU guy who I'm drawing.
Michigan.
Colston Loveland, and then Tyler Warren. And then some people really like this Syracuse tight end. So like there could be some tight ends in here that you really like, and Warren is for sure going to be a high draft pick.
Yeah.
Like,
well, what's going to happen? Genty's going in the back out of the first round. I'm going to tell you why. Because you can't get him in your rookie draft if you don't have the 1-1 in any format. So just in FOMO, the fact that nobody wants to miss out in startups this year, Genty's going to go at the back half of the first round because that degenerate that's in this Dynasty startup with us somewhere is going to be like, well, if I don't get him in this league or that league, I can't trade up to 1-1 here. I'm just going to take him because I want him somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be in that group too. We got a 1-1 together and a team that I don't think I have any other 1-1s. So we got Genty at least once, and I'm looking for Genty in a startup because you want to be in the parade. I want to be in the Genty parade. I want to be on the bus.
I like Caleb Johnson a good bit so far. Like, I mean, I'll be excited to have the one wherever he falls in Superflex.
Dude, like you're crazy if you're not excited to have the first 5 or 6 picks anyway. Come on, man. You got a couple of running backs at Ohio State are studs.
You can go down to.
You got a couple of wide receiver studs.
First round's exciting.
That's what I'm saying.
First round's exciting.
There's studs that maybe there's not 8 Gentys. There's never 8 Saquon Barkleys in the draft.
There's a list of running back, the Scattabos of the world and the Devin Neals, and there's going to be 3 or 4 other running back. The dude from USC, Woody Marks, Brashad Smith from SMU. Like, there's some other really good running backs that people are going to get infatuated with and be so exciting. And that second round is going to be full of running backs and a tight end or 3, and then a couple of wide receivers are going to fill it out, and it's going to be a pretty exciting second round.
Let me get my catchphrase off. If you're still listening, if you're watching the end of this video right here, you are a Dynasty football degenerate just like us. You are knee deep in it. Do not go reading up on Twitter or reading whatever you're reading and listening to whatever podcast you're listening to and let somebody talk you into devaluing your draft picks right now.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. If you got a decent offer on the table for your third round pick, I understand. You got to do what you got to do. And if you can package up, it's always fun to make a deal, right? I get it,
of course.
But if you're sitting on the 1-6 right now and you're just dragging your feet because you got no chance of getting Genty, don't go giving that away just because you're itching to make a move and everybody's telling you the class is down. I guarantee you, by the time after the NFL draft comes around and you see what kind of stock that some of these guys are going to get, some of these wide receivers, the NFL needs wide receivers, some of these tight ends, and obviously there's going to be part of the problem with some of these running backs is going to be that some of these teams are going to say, well, there's 5 of them, 6 of them we like. Mm-hmm. So some of that early second round running back might slip down a little bit. Maybe that into the second round slips into the third round a little bit and kind of hurts what we think is their draft capital just because the team's like, well, we don't have to take this guy because these 4 or 5 guys are awesome. We're going to, so that might be a little bit of a problem for your, early mid-second round running back. It might go to the end of the second round kind of stuff just because there's actually a little bit of, a little logjam of actually like 5 or 6 guys being really, really good.
Yeah.
But don't let them talk you into devaluing your draft picks. And now's not the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. A couple of teams I like in here that I've been sorting through. I like Wu-Tang Clan. Got Hurts, Love, Drake London, Waddle, Zay Flowers, Chase Brown, Terry, Joe Mixon, Pollard, Sam Darnold, Freiermuth, Bigsby, Sanders.
Save Chase Brown for next week. Save my Chase Brown rant. We'll save it for
Romeo Dubs, and then McLaughlin at the end there. So that was a fun draft, and I'm sure I didn't analyze everybody's team, but I just kind of skimmed through real quick. Dan, like that squad, Jaden Daniels, Nico, JSN, Ladd McConkey, Goff, then comes back with Kenny and Mark Andrews, gets Tracy, then McMillan and Sutton. Aaron Jones a little late there. Probably still going to have some juice for next year. Then grabs Juwan Jennings, who could have a big role moving to next year.
Sure.
Jonu's interesting. Shaheed was great to start the year injured, and then Jordan Mason.
Yeah, that's a great pickup. How did the team do that got McBride? Because he had Neighbors and Bijan and McBride. I thought that 3 was good.
It was good, but the third quarterback, Daniel Jones. So he kind of he's maybe seeing if and then McCarthy's the second.
He's super young.
Yeah.
So McCarthy, the second quarterback, was that Addison and Worthy, Kamara. He brings in some starter at running backs to fill in flexes and RB2s. Is that Shakir and Jalen Coker?
Mm-hmm.
Likely. Demario Douglas, Garindo. Okay.
And then Dynasty Big, I'm not sure what the rest of the name is there, but he got St. Brown, Gibbs, May, Higgins, Mayfield, like that start. And then Pickens, Jameson Williams. Excuse me, sorry. Maybe we could make some changes right in there, but I like the idea of what's going on, and I like Pickens and Jameson Williams. Then Kraft, which could be awesome. And then Brian Robinson at 9-2, Otten at 10, Jacoby Myers at 11, Tillman at 12, Fields at 13. So just collecting a little bit more value of a piece. I think Fields is got to have a starting role probably somewhere next year. Bateman's a great pick in the 14th round. Had a nice little coming out party this year. And then Russ to end it. So,
and that's the end of the 7th round on Jameson Williams, right?
That's the beginning.
That's the beginning. So 7-2. I like Jameson Williams in the 7th round still.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about where he was this time last year, and first mock we came in here, and I was like, I'm getting Jameson Williams in the 10th, and Jameson went out and had the season that he had, and he's still in the 7th without rookies.
Right.
So the rookie's going to push him down a couple spots. You're talking about mid 7th round Jameson Williams.
Unless he crushes the next 2 games.
True.
And there's a lot of stats coming out right now about 5 catches, at least 5 catches in the last X amount of games.
Mm-hmm.
So we shall see. But J Mike, as always, brother, good job. Love it. Burrow, Herbert. So love those guys.
Good start.
AJ Brown, Rashi, Jacobs.
Solid. Wow.
Ayuk with the
Chuba.
value. Then Chuba got Gino for a 3rd.
Josh
Josh Downs, Warren, both really, really high end 9th and 10th round picks that could really pay off.
That's why he's my co-manager.
Then Hollywood. This guy's you just draft the team, so I'd shut you out. I know it.
That's why
Goddard, Quentin Johnston, then Rico in the 14th. Love that. And then Tyler Algier, 15th round, high end backup right there.
He got Goddard, Quentin Johnston, Rico Dowdle, and Algier to end the draft.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have teams together. That's why he's my co-manager.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap this one up. Appreciate you joining us. We'll be next Tuesday for the live mock, and then we'll go back to doing it on Mondays from there on out. Appreciate you joining us. If you want to, go ahead and head over to the Discord. There's a free Discord you can hop in. That's where we share the link for this, and there's all sorts of chatter going on over there. There's also a $5 holler you can join into. I believe we're just adding a $10 holler here real soon. You can get the roster review with that, and when we put out a rookie draft kit, that'll be in that tier somewhere. So make sure you go check all that out. You get an extra episode a month or a week rather, and plenty of stuff. Where Jay Wayne and company is deep in the sheets right now. So we got, we're building models, building model airplanes, and got some good sheets on the way. All going to be for your pleasure, available on the Discord, Patreon over there. But free is free. You can join that and get into these drafts with us. And we'll have a new shop coming soon with some hats and some tees for your pleasure as well. So be on the lookout. Appreciate you guys, and we will catch you on the next one. Peace.